Governor, if you could first tell us about why you're excited to be here today and why you think telehealth has a future in the state.
Telehealth has a great future. We're already ahead of most everybody else, I think, with things going on at MUSC, as well as the collaborations going on around the state as represented by this conference. So that's an area where we can make a great contribution. If we can keep people healthy, then that takes us a long way to the kind of prosperity that we want to have. And the way to do that is to have access to medical and health information easily. It's hard to go get it, but if we can take it to them, then that'll work. That's why telehealth, telemedicine, all the things that they are discussing today are so important to South Carolina. And I am confident if we communicate and collaborate with each other, we can be a model for other parts of the country.
And you've seen a shuttering of rural hospitals here in the state. Do you think, like you said on the podium, this could be a way to help counteract some of that?
I do, because it's difficult to make a doctor's appointment for a lot of people. And some, of course, don't go to the doctor until the condition, until the condition comes such to go to the emergency room. If we could have a way for them to have access to the needed information and treatment and advice early on, we could eliminate a lot of these problems and keep them from getting to be big problems. So it really is the answer. And with the technology that we have in the country and in South Carolina, and the imagination and boldness of the people in South Carolina working together and collaborating, I'm confident we can have a terrific system that will help everyone in the state, especially those really change things in the rural areas.
Governor, on that point, any thoughts on legislation that passed the House that would provide state grant funding to private providers to kind of help close those gaps or digital divides in rural areas?
I don't have the details on that, but I don't have all the information. But anything that will help get broadband and communication out to the rural areas where they don't have it now would be a major step forward.
What about telehealth are you most excited about going forward? What do you think is most beneficial for the state?
Well, you have economics, you have education, and you also have health, good health. So it could be used in all of that. Education, the field of education is wide open for that kind of thing. And with health, there's so many problems that are caused by illnesses, sicknesses, small things that develop into big things that keep people from being able to work, take care of their children, or do the kind of things they want to do in their lives. So if we can find ways to give the people information and advice that they need about the health, then of course they don't have to leave school. They're talking about having to school. That's a great way to do it. The children can go to school, they won't be sick. And the parents can go to work, they won't be sick. Time spent going back and forth to the doctor or other thing can be eliminated, and we can move forward towards this great prosperity that is coming our way a lot quicker and a lot better.
And what do you think are some of the biggest barriers that we still need to overcome in order for all rural patients to be able to access these services?
Those are the things they're talking about in the room. It's just a question of getting broadband, the cell phone signals, broadband, all of that out to the rural areas in a great way. It was described just a few minutes ago, was having it in the schools where it's available to the children. I know that there's some companies that have nurses on site and have access to doctors on site, and they allow the employees to bring their families in to meet with those people that they have there in the big plants. So we're getting it out there, and we need to move as quickly as we can and do it right. And I think we have the technology. We certainly have the will, and as demonstrated, we certainly have the talent to do it right here in South Carolina.
And Governor, if we could, speaking of health here, can we get your thoughts on the fetal heartbeat bill working its way through the House right now?
As you know, I'm pro-life. This is a pro-life state. I'll be happy to sign any pro-life bill that comes to my desk.
And are you worried at all about potential business fallout like you've seen threatened in Georgia?
No, sir.
And if we could also switch in topics, the Samantha Josephson Ride-Sharing Safety Act also set for a House vote potentially today. Do you think that's something you'd support if it came to your desk?
I don't have the information on that. I know that is a tragic situation. That young lady could have been in it. She was everybody's daughter. That's something that could happen to anybody. We must be very careful. We must be sure that law enforcement is using every power they have to prevent these kind of things, and we must keep all our people alert to the dangers that exist. But that is a tragic situation. I know people all over the state, hearts are just broken for that young lady and her family.
Last question, if there's one.
Have you had any conversations with USC about safety for the students?
I spoke to President Pastides a few days ago, as well as the parents, Samantha's parents. I know everyone is re-examining policies and procedures to see if there's more we can do and how we can do it to ensure the safety of people.
Thank you, Governor.
Thank you, Governor.